It's the all-new Mitsubishi XForce. And for today's episode, we got the keys.
If you're looking for a ride that gives you the fine middle ground between a sedan and a mid-size SUV, this is a ride that you need to see. It's the Mitsubishi XForce. A ride good for the city, but also more than ready for the open roads. Launched back in 2024, this ride has sparked so much interest in the Philippine mobility landscape. And with its price at around 1.5 million Philippine pesos, what does this crossover have to offer?
This video is made possible by the AutoGuard 2-in-1 Glass Cleaner Rain Repellent. Goes well for you keeping your windshields and your windows clean for your car. Just remember to spray, use a microfiber cloth, and it gives you that new look shine. Available online, you can check it out down below. Now, first things first, I like how this car sits. You have a commanding presence here inside the XForce, and you'll notice it with how tall you are sitting, especially when you are out on the road with this car. And because of how the chassis is built, the XForce is there to give you still a sedan-like ride experience despite the height that you have here inside. You'll notice it a lot, especially when taken on corners because of the active yaw control system that this car has. What happens with active yaw control is that your braking and your driving force or your acceleration is controlled properly every time you take on corners at speed. Simply said, it basically controls body roll so that you do have the SUV height, but you also have the sedan-like ride experience that you have, especially with active yaw control for the Mitsubishi XForce. Now, in essence, in terms of size, this car plays a fine middle ground between a Mitsubishi Montero Sport or a Mitsubishi Expander. If you want Montero height, but you don't want the third row, this is the way to go. Now, if you want something that sits lower, get the Mitsubishi Expander. It also sits 7. But if you want a 7-seater that sits just a little bit taller with the same systems, if not even more, well, you should take a look at the all-new Mitsubishi Destinator.
The Mitsubishi XForce really pushes a younger vibe, especially when you look at the car from the outside. The exterior carries this new generation dynamic shield design along with the signature T-shaped headlamps with LED functions, giving this car a very modern look. The color that we have here is called Energetic Yellow with the black roof, but do take note that the XForce is also available in 3 other color options.
So what do you have under the hood of the Mitsubishi XForce? Well, this one here has got a 1.5 liter with a CVT.
It is the gasoline MyVec engine here, also mechanically known as the 4A91, ready to give you 105 PS of power and 141 Newton meters of torque.
The Mitsubishi XForce is equipped with 4 drive modes. You have normal, you have mud, you have gravel, and you also have wet. And when you're talking about acceleration figures for this crossover, you're looking around 0 to 100 kilometers per hour at around 12 to 14 seconds. Now, you gotta remember that this is still a family car at the end of the day, perfect for any adventure. If you want a car that can haul more, pickup truck is the way to go. But if you want a car that's faster, maybe it's time to get a sports car.
The back of the Mitsubishi XForce also continues the signature T-shaped tail lamps for the back. You're also equipped with a rear spoiler, a backup camera, and a hands-free power tailgate.
And this is what it looks like in the back of your Mitsubishi XForce. As you can see, this is the amount of cargo space that you have here in the back. Enough space for our trusty wagon and as well as 1, 2, and 3 backpacks. Again, guys, I'm not moving out. I'm just showing you guys how much we could carry in the back of this car. Now, do take note that your floor is movable. You could be able to add more depth to it depending on your preference. Now, if you need more space in terms of cargo for your XForce, the seats in the back fold in a 40-20-40 configuration. I'll talk more about that later on.
Talking about dimensions of the XForce, this is what the numbers look like. This crossover gives you 4,390 millimeters of length and 1,810 millimeters of width, all going with a height of 1,660 millimeters. All of this matching your two-tone look and your 18-inch alloy wheels, which do also sport a two-tone design.
The Mitsubishi XForce has 2,650 millimeters when it comes to your wheelbase, ensuring the fact that you have the best legroom possible for a crossover of this size. Now, when I look at this car from the back, one thing I also noticed is this particular detail here. you have a very short but generous rear overhang, ensuring the fact that you have a very good departure angle if you're going to be going off-road. And because of the short rear overhang that you have here in the back, reversing into spaces will not be difficult even without the use of your backup camera. But take note, this car also does have a backup camera. So either way, you're not at a loss for options. Now, talking about the side profile of your car, you have R18 tires here to go with your two-tone look here, and as well as keyless access and power folding side mirrors. Now, when it comes to this crossover, you also have 193 millimeters of ground clearance, giving you a very commanding presence on the road. You know what? Somehow, the Mitsubishi XForce reminds me of the Mitsubishi ASX. And I remember seeing that car a lot when I was a kid. I would see it a lot in dealerships and mall displays, and I was so enamored by it then. Now, I was wondering though, as a kid growing up, is that how come I didn't see a lot of it on the road? And it made me wonder what exactly happened there. But then with the success of the Mitsubishi Montero Sport, the Mirage, the Adventure, and every other car in the Mitsubishi lineup, I was trying to figure out how exactly did the Mitsubishi ASX position itself. Now, connecting all of the dots growing up, it made me realize that the ASX was a car that was a little bit ahead of its time because there wasn't a lot of crossovers at the market then. So with that being said, with this all-new Mitsubishi XForce, how does this crossover plan to position itself in the market? First of all, when it comes to crossovers, you get a car like this for either of the two things. You're coming from a mid-size or a full-size SUV and you want something smaller and comfy to drive around in. Or if you're coming from a sedan and you're looking to upsize but you don't really want the intimidating size of a mid-size SUV or a van. But all things considered, does a car like this, of its size, does it affect practicality and performance? Not really. Now, over the past few days I've had this car, I've actually had this car in mixed weather conditions, sometimes sunny and sometimes raining. And I find myself switching between a normal to wet mode every time I've had this car. And you know, I've noticed that every time I do that, your steering gets a little bit firmer. And that's a good thing because it gives you a lot more stability and traction, especially in areas where you need it most. I'm also surprised about this. Regardless of whatever drive mode you select, the Eco Mode light on your dashboard could be on every time you're cruising. And you know what? It makes you realize that the XForce prioritizes fuel economy at any driving situation. So this is still a very fuel efficient car at the end of the day. But if you want a more sporty or engaging experience, there is a button here that turns off your Eco light and activates Sport Mode. It is very comfy here in the back of the Mitsubishi XForce. As you can see, I am 6 feet tall and this is the kind of knee room that I do have. I'm sitting behind my preferred driving position and again, good knee room, great headroom for a crossover. Now, what I also like about the Mitsubishi XForce is that you have compartments in the back of your front seats, compartments up on top for cards or cell phones or anything like that up here, and if you need to hide other bigger items like a tablet or perhaps folders or papers, you could put it right here. One on each side. Just remember where you exactly put it once you park your car, okay? Now, going back to the middle, you have 2 air vents and 2 USB ports, a Type A and a Type C. And if you're gonna be sitting in the middle, you like the idea that the floor isn't too intrusive. It's a little bit flat, so you don't have to contest too much when it comes to footroom. You also have ISOFIX tethers that are easily accessible, and you have a Yamaha surround sound speaker system when it comes to this car's sound system. Now, going back to the idea of a 40-20-40 configuration when it comes to this car's rear seats, this is what I exactly mean. If you pull this tab here, you have access to this, a large armrest, 2 cup holders, and easy access to your cargo in the back.
The front of the XForce is also spacious and your tall view is complemented by your 2 digital screens. The screen in the middle is 12.3 inches and learning how to get familiar with it isn't difficult because of all of the buttons that you have. And if you like your music, the XForce is equipped with the latest Yamaha Dynamic Sound Premium Audio System, giving you an 8-speaker system to enjoy those tunes. Most of your physical buttons are on your center console beside your shifter. Buttons for ignition, electronic parking brake with brake hold, and adjustable drive modes are all there. Now, if you're driving alone, remember that it's a good idea to get familiar with the buttons on your wheel. The buttons on the wheel are mostly for your auto controls or your cruise control settings.
Now, if there's gonna be something I'm gonna point out that I like about this car, well, there's actually a lot, but this is a big thing for me. Now, this particular detail here gives you all of the information that you need, especially when it comes to your overall drive experience of this car and long-term ownership. Getting familiar with all of this data here goes a long way, especially when you're talking about owning this car after more than 3 years. And if you choose to customize, again, this goes a long way. Now, what is this actually? Now, this is information for your braking, your coolant, your acceleration, your tire pressure, all of that right there. And if you get familiar with your overall center screen, there are other essential information there, and as well as wireless connectivity. Speaking of wireless connectivity, you also have a wireless charging pad down below to go with 2 USB Type-A ports, and your cup holders fit something as big as this. Now, speaking of drinks, if you do have bottles of water with you, you could be able to put it underneath your center armrest because there is a vent down below, an air vent to add cooling to your drinks, especially on a hot summer day. Now, if there's going to be a few things I'm going to be pointing out on the X-Force where it could be better, it would be this. One is adding a multi-view camera. But then again though, the aftermarket scene, it's very expensive. So finding a multi-view camera for a Mitsubishi is going to be very easy. And the other thing is paddle shifters, because you have your drive modes here, so adding paddle shifters would complement the overall fun experience when it comes to driving this car. But the fun doesn't stop there. When it comes to the overall look of your dashboard, I like this design element here. It goes well with your overall dashboard look, giving you a nice and youthful look when it comes to the Mitsubishi X-Force. And one more thing I like about this car is that when you look underneath your steering column, there's an air vent down below. That's pretty new. Easy breezy. The upside though with having a Mitsubishi X-Force is that it is a Mitsubishi, and so you have the reliability, and thus if you want spare parts or you want to customize or personalize, there are so much options for you to choose from. But if you want to personalize this car though, to be honest, there's not a lot to add because this car is already loaded with so much comfort and safety features from the get-go.
When it comes to road safety, the Mitsubishi X-Force is equipped with a 5-star ASEAN NCAP rating, which along with a whole slew of airbags and things like active yaw control also gives you other things like adaptive cruise control, lead car departure notification, forward collision mitigation, automatic high beam, blind spot warning, and rear cross traffic alert. Add that with the fact that in terms of suspension, the Mitsubishi X-Force is equipped with McPherson struts with coil springs and stabilizers at the front and torsion beams at the rear, along with disc brakes for both the front and the back with an ABS braking system, and 18-inch alloy wheels allows you to feel comfy and safe with the Mitsubishi X-Force anytime, anywhere.
You gotta remember that the Mitsubishi X-Force, it's not a track-tuned sports car by any account. I mean, if you customize, it could be done, but in its current configuration, this is a car that can comfortably take you and a couple of friends on any trip. From the city or out on the open road, this car is ready for you. And with all of the features that this car offers, along with a rich pedigree that this car has coming from the Mitsubishi name, you have to know that you have so much peace of mind as the kilometers keep on going. Just remember that wherever you're driving this car, whether in the city or out on the open road, or if you're simply watching this car review during the holiday season or even during the summertime, just remember that wherever you go, keep calm on the road and drive responsibly. Mitsubishi Motors Philippines has been known to be in the crossover market for so many years. It wasn't so long ago they had the Mitsubishi Space Gear, and a few years ago they also had the Mitsubishi ASX. Remember those cars? Anyways, for today's episode, we got this car here. It's the all-new Mitsubishi X-Force, and for today's episode, we got the keys.